What did a kid in your school do to get expelled? Story 1. Very weird kid in my year. At the time, came into school with huge amounts of hairspray in his hair. The amount where your hair eventually sticks like gel, but without actually using any. Guy that sat behind him in one of our classes happened to be one of the worst behaved kids in the school, and he proceeded to get out his lighter and light his hair on fire. It didn't go up like if it were oil, but it definitely stayed lit long enough to see him running out the door with his hair smoking. Both kids were gone after that. Story 2. Well, technically this doesn't count because they were never caught, even though the police were called in to investigate, but this is some next level. So we have classrooms called temporary classrooms. I don't know if you have them in other countries, but it's small, separate classrooms that were made out of a dense type of drywall. So during our official test period, they store all the tests in one classroom. So these tests have been marked, but not revised, and have therefore not gone through admin yet. So Monday, we come back at school, and during assembly with the entire school, which we had every day, our headmaster was really pissed off. He is genuinely a nice guy, but at this moment, he's bright red and shivering with anger. Apparently, a student snuck into the school and put a fire hose through a cracked window and flooded the whole classroom. A teacher later told us that the tests were literally adrift in the water. The classroom sustained a load of water damage as well, and after no one came forward, the police started a vandalism investigation. All the appliances in the class were also ruined, and some of the files of the teachers to whom the class belonged got damaged, and she had to do everything over. They never found the culprits and used some of our assignment mark for the subjects, which tests got completely destroyed. Every year, a group of matrix students carry on the tradition of painting the school's roof and painting his sheep and letting them onto the school grounds. Each year, they get suspended for a week. A group of guys also put silicone into the key slots in all the doors. The silicone dried overnight and we weren't able to get into our classrooms. They had to remove the doors completely. We got the whole morning off, and he got suspended for a while, but left a legend. Wow, this is some next level mischief. It's crazy to think that someone could sneak into the school undetected and cause so much damage. I can only imagine the chaos that ensued when everyone found out about the flooded classroom and ruined tests. It's a shame that no one came forward and took responsibility for their actions, but I guess that's just the way it goes sometimes. Story 3. Two kids were dealing out of their lockers. It was actually a pretty good plan. One had a locker upstairs and the other's locker was downstairs. Everyone who bought stuff from them knew the combinations. People were told which locker had their merch, and when you had class on that floor, you'd get a hall pass and stop by the locker. A teacher got suspicious of seeing multiple kids going to the same locker. I will never forget being in class and getting the lockdown announcement while dogs were brought in and seeing one of the kids flying down the hallway towards his locker. Story 4. He stole some kid's backpack full of books, took a shit in it, zipped it shut, and shook it up. He then bragged about it to one of his friends, so when the poor kid saw it in his backpack, he freaked out. It didn't take long for administration to figure out who had done it though. Edit. Yeah, total up thing to do. Kid was an idiot, constantly getting caught doing stupid stuff, multiple fights, in and out of juvenile detention, etc. Shortly after getting expelled, he broke into a community building, vandalized the place, and stole a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, he was already on probation. Again. Got tried as an adult and ended up doing prison time. Story 5. I am from the Midwest. This was the mid-90s. A middle schooler went bird hunting over the weekend. He still had shotgun shells in his coat jacket on Monday. No weapon, just the shells. When he got to school, he realized the shells were there and immediately turned them into the principal. He was suspended from classes until the board made their decision, and he was eventually expelled. Kid made an honest mistake, did the right thing to correct the mistake, and was punished to the maximum for it. Reply 1. This has to be the stupidest reason. Just shows that the schools do not value honesty as much as they say they do. Reply 2. That's just stupid on the school's part. This kid goes hunting, forgets that he has shells in his jacket, and turns them into an authoritative figure. I mean, what else was he supposed to do? That's unfortunate to hear. It seems like the student was just trying to do the right thing by turning in the shells as soon as he realized he had them on him, but instead he faced severe punishment for his mistake. It's important for schools to take safety seriously, but it's also important to consider the intent and actions of the student in question. In this case, it seems like the punishment really didn't fit the crime. Story 6. He was special needs but got zero tolerance because he made a series of drawings about taking over the school with fart bombs. Reply 1. That's so stupid. Poor kid. Reply 2. People absolutely loved him. His disability meant that he was mentally very young. Everyone enjoyed seeing him in the halls and talking to him about Hot Wheels or whatever he was fascinated by at the time. He was social and always laughing. There was outrage among the students, but no one felt like they could do anything. Story 7. Went to kindergarten with a kid named Marshall who was always getting in trouble, until one day they finally just kicked him out of school for spraying a fire extinguisher all over the room and somehow getting his own human poop in no fewer than 9 cubby holes where we kept our lunches. You have to be a goddamn rock star to get kicked out of kindergarten. Jeez, it seems like little Marshall was quite the troublemaker. Spraying a fire extinguisher all over the room is one thing, but managing to get his own poop into not 1, not 2, but 9 different cubby holes is a feat that even the most seasoned pranksters would be envious of. I mean, let's be honest, we've all had that one friend who is a bit of a class clown, but Marshall takes the trophy for being a true rock star. Story 8. Okay, so we were in the middle of class that took place on the 5th floor of our school, and there was this kid who, in the middle of class, stands up, goes to the window, proceeds to open it, and jumps off. The entire class watched with terror, and the teacher just stood there for a second in disbelief of what she had just witnessed. In reality, the kid jumped on a ledge under the window as some sick prank to make us think he just offed himself. He got expelled in the following week, and we had to listed to our counselor for a week about why stuff like this isn't funny and why you should never prank people like that. Story 9. When I was a junior in high school, the senior prank that year was to steal all the science videos from the office, all VHS, and record pee onto them at various parts, then return the tapes. For years, teachers would be putting on tapes about fossil fuels or mitochondria or crepuscular carnivores, and 20 minutes in, boom! Out of nowhere, you know what starts playing at full volume. Science department finally gave up trying to find them all and just threw them all away. The year of the prank, the student who organized it was expelled because someone spilled the beans. Oh my gosh, that's absolutely hilarious. I can just picture the confusion and shock on the faces of the teachers and students alike when they suddenly hear something completely unexpected blaring from the science videos. It's impressive that the students managed to pull off such an elaborate prank without getting caught at first, and it's a shame that the science department had to resort to throwing all the tapes away in the end. At least they got a good laugh out of it, right? Story 10. When I was in high school, a kid sprayed pepper spray in the school ventilation system. It was kind of a big deal because the school doesn't have any windows that open. The school had to be evacuated, and I think we got to leave a few hours early. Typical trash. He eventually got hooked on H. No idea what he's doing anymore. Story 11. This is a weird one. Preface this by saying this kid was on borrowed time. He had a history of being a jackass, but was a really funny kid. So it's early junior year, and it's lunchtime. 2 people jokingly said to Kevin that they would pay him $60 to piss his pants. Money talks, and he stood up from his seat, and within moments, pissed his pants. They recorded the event, and the video was passed around the school. Maybe a day or 2 later, he was called down to the office and was promptly expelled for whatever reason. The kicker here is that the 2 kids never paid up their money until the disciplinarian forced them to pay Kevin instead of detention. Hey, I like that disciplinarian. Not a lot of people would make those kids honor their word for a prank like that. Teaching them to put their money where their mouth is a good lesson to impart early on to kids. Story 12. High school, senior year, he was the stereotypical computer geek, pocket protector kid. Very smart, generally quiet, was nice, but awkward. He somehow found a way to access the part of the school's storage network where teachers could save their files. He made copies of thousands of quizzes, tests, answer keys, etc. Lots were from his AP US history teacher, but I was told he had stuff from most teachers. He sold copies of answer keys and exams to kids. Eventually, someone told the school administrators. They contacted the police, and while he was at school one day, they went to his house with a warrant and confiscated his computers. Arrested him when he came home. Teachers were pissed. Every compromised test had to be remade. Hundreds of hours of work for his history teacher, who had to remake all his lesson materials for the year over again. They threatened him with the possibility of being prosecuted as an adult, that each file was its own felony, and he was looking at thousands of charges. This was ultimately to just get a plea deal, which was something like a lot of community service, expulsion from the school, and probation. I think if he made it through probation, it would all end up sealed or something. Story 13. He made an effort to get in shape. He joined the gym, workout, weight training class that just happened to have a lot of the football players in it. He was constantly bullied by a few, even though the more respectable players stepped in at times that it wouldn't stop. After 2 swirlies in 2 days, he had more than enough. Cue the third swirly, he grabs one of the bullies and throws him on the ground, and they immediately stopped. Guess what? He got expelled, and nothing happened to the bullies. Story 14. I remember it like it was yesterday, even though it happened a few months ago. There was a kid in my school named Danny. Danny was known for his edgy sense of humor and his love for pulling pranks on people. No one was off limits. Students, teachers, even the principal. Most of his pranks were harmless, but one day he took it way too far. It all started when our school announced a charity event, the Principal's Challenge, where the principal would perform various stunts to raise money. The students were excited to see our usually strict principal take part in something fun, and the anticipation was palpable. A few days before the event, Danny approached me during lunch with a mischievous grin on his face. Danny, hey, I've got something epic planned for the Principal's Challenge. Want in? I was skeptical, but couldn't resist asking. Me, what's the plan? Danny, trust me, it's gonna be legendary. Just meet me at the gym tonight at 9 p.m. That night, I snuck into the gym to meet Danny. He revealed his plan. He had hacked into the school's audio system and was going to play a series of embarrassing sound effects during the principal's performance. I had a bad feeling about it, but Danny was so excited that I didn't have the heart to back out. The next day, the entire school gathered in the gym for the principal's challenge. The atmosphere was electric, and everyone was eager to see what would happen. As the principal began his first stunt, Danny gave me a knowing smirk and activated his device. Suddenly, the gym was filled with a cacophony of inappropriate noises. The principal's face turned beet red as he tried to continue his performance. The students erupted into laughter, while the teachers struggled to maintain order. It was chaos. As the principal stumbled off stage, the vice principal took the microphone and demanded that whoever was responsible for the prank come forward. No one moved. Later that day, the school's IT department traced the audio hack back to Danny. He was called to the principal's office, and I could only imagine the confrontation that took place. Danny was expelled, and his parents were notified. In the days following, the school was buzzing with gossip about the prank and Danny's expulsion. Some students thought it was hilarious, while others felt sorry for the principal. As for me, I couldn't shake the guilt of having been involved in something that went so terribly wrong. The principal's challenge had been intended to bring the school together and raise money for a good cause. Instead, it became a humiliating spectacle that ultimately cost Danny his place at our school. Oh yeah, Danny sounds like he was quite the prankster. It's a shame that his mischievous ways got him into trouble this time around. I can just imagine the chaos and embarrassment that must have ensued when the inappropriate sound effects started blaring during the principal's challenge. It's no surprise that the school's administration took swift action and expelled Danny for his actions. Story 15. I'll never forget the incident that happened a few months ago in my school. We had this student, Lucas, who had a reputation for being a troublemaker. He was always pushing the limits, but nobody ever expected to take things as far as he did. It all started when our school got a new teacher, Miss Thompson. She was young, enthusiastic, and determined to make a difference. Unfortunately, her enthusiasm made her an easy target for Lucas and his friends. They would constantly disrupt her class, make snarky comments, and even spread rumors about her online. One day, Lucas decided to take his harassment to another level. He discovered that Miss Thompson had a severe allergy to peanuts. So during lunch, he conducted a twisted plan. Lucas, hey guys, you know how Miss Thompson has that peanut allergy? I've got a plan to teach her a lesson she'll never forget. His friends were uneasy, but couldn't resist asking what he had in mind. Lucas, I'm gonna sneak some peanut butter into her coffee when she's not looking. She'll freak out when she realizes she's having an allergic reaction. His friends nervously laughed, but I could tell they were worried about how far Lucas was willing to go. The next day during class, Lucas put his plan into action. As Miss Thompson stepped out to use the restroom, he quickly slipped a spoonful of peanut butter into her coffee. When she returned, she took a sip and immediately knew something was wrong. Miss Thompson's face turned red, her breathing became labored, and she clutched at her throat. She frantically searched for her EpiPen, but it wasn't in her bag. Panic-stricken, she stumbled out of the classroom trying to get help. Fortunately, another teacher found her in the hallway and quickly administered an EpiPen she had in her own bag. Miss Thompson was rushed to the hospital where she ultimately recovered, but the damage had been done. The school launched an investigation into the incident, and security camera footage quickly revealed Lucas as the culprit. He was immediately expelled and faced criminal charges for his actions. Please leave your story down below in the comments. I would absolutely love to make a video about them in the future. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.